When you're looking at a tailored two-piece sleeve, there are two parts. There's an undersleeve and a top sleeve. This curve is the front seam that sits on the front of the arm, and this is the back. So for the vent, the overlap will be here, and the extension and underlap will be here on the undersleeve. If you have a sleeve with a gusset, the information is exactly the same. The only thing that's changed is what's happening in the undersleeve. Stitch the front seam closed and put reinforcement in the hem. This sleeve has organza. This sleeve has press-on. Notice that you need less reinforcement on the undersleeve where the extension will be than you do on the top. For organza, flatline the bias organza on the sides across the hem, thread mark the hem and the opening, cross-stitch the organza to the front seam, and cross-stitch the top as well. On the undersleeve side, where the extension is, turn back 3/8 of an inch and whip stitch the edge down. Stop where the vent will stop. Miter the corner in the top sleeve of the vent, turn up the hem, and slip stitch the extension part of the vent, tucking the top of the seam allowance back from the edge just a smidge. Stitch the back seam of the sleeve down to the notch where the vent opens, and then baste the vent closed. Press the underlap to one side, clip right into the seam, and press the back seam open. Stitch the sleeve lining together, starting at the top of the vent and clipping right to the seam. Matching the wrong side of the sleeve to the wrong side of the lining, stitch the seam allowance to the seam allowance for about 6 inches above the vent. Pull the lining around the sleeve. Start by pinning the lining so that the hem of the lining is 1/2 inch shorter than the hem of the sleeve, and use the lining to clean the vent. On the overlap, you can cut away, and on the underlap, you need some extension. Push the lining back and repin it so that you're creating a tuck in the hem. Slip stitch all around and then press it so that the pleat is in place. Match the seam of the lining to the seams of the face and do a big soft tailor base, joining the lining and face together.